Hello, welcome to my vehicle. I'm sitting in my parking garage at the university and I just decided to riff an episode here. I'm in such a flow state lately. I feel so fortunate, so fortunate to be in this space in my life right now where I feel like I have more certainty and clarity than I've had in a while. I went through a real little dip of doubt a couple weeks ago. I guess it was when I recorded that episode. And since then, I've really been programming my mind to return over and over and over and over to what is happening right now in this present moment. It's one of my fundamental teachings, and I love it because it's like this beautiful blend of philosophy, mindset, and biological neurology, like the literal brain pathways that we're wiring in ourselves. And when you can understand something on so many different levels, when you see all the different layers to something, and then you see the whole brain science behind it as well, it just always blows me away how beautiful that whole system is. It also turned into the seed of a really powerful episode of Useful Thinking that's coming out this week to be what I call a live lab, an episode you can return to over and over and over when you get in one of those mental tangles. It's an episode I wish existed for me years ago and also right now, because even with everything I know about how the brain works, even with everything I know about how the brain processes time and how it understands things from the past and the future, and everything according to the brain is just happening right now, I know all of that. When I'm in a moment where I'm being tested, I would want to hear something just like what I recorded for this week. So I'm so excited about that. And I think, what if the result of going through these roller coasters of life are simply so that we can produce tools that help us move through the roller coaster? Then how cool is that? I welcome the dips. I don't let them mean that I am on the wrong path in my life anymore. That used to be a real common theme for me. If this isn't working out, then I might be on the wrong path and I'm just wasting time. I didn't let it mean I was like a bad person, but I would get this sense of urgency, like I'm wasting time doing something that's not even meant to be my thing to do. And how quickly can I find the thing I am meant to do? The more I've grown, the more I realize it's like, welcome to being a manifesting generator. Welcome to what it means to be a multi-passionate human who is driven by curiosity and who is driven to learn and who loves trying things out and experimenting with things and who loves dreaming and getting the big ideas. Like, as a double Sagittarius, like, I have so much expansion in my energetic chart, right? It's just all over the place. I know when things look different from that, it's literally just some part of my journey that is bringing me to that. And I've had so many downloads this week. When I say downloads, I mean like when I'm out walking and I get this very clear way about how I want to explain something. I'm doing a couple conferences in October, like back-to-back talks as part of a series. And I had to fill out all this paperwork, a speaker bio, and I hadn't finished the talks yet, but they needed like a full agenda and what the learning outcomes were going to be. And I just kind of relaxed into it. This was last Friday, and I was just like, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to give them a title, and I'm going to write a little abstract about what the talk is. And I know, because I have learned this, when I need to know what it's going to be, it will come to me. And this morning, sure enough, when I got back from my walk, I sat down and voice noted an 8-minute layout of exactly how I wanted my talk to go. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about when I say I get downloads. These aren't like new inspirations about how life is, but they feel like little clarity blitzes. And so one of those that also came through that I am working on is rebuilding my 5 daily musts, or my 5 daily non-negotiables. This is a process that I started back in 2021, coming up with a list of 5 things that were going to take precedence before anything else got my attention each day. And I do them in my own little way. People who have gone through my Irresistible Mind program know how we do this. Like, we don't just write, drink my water, meditate, right? There's a very specific way that I do this, and then I turn it into these very energetic practices directly tied to my personal values. Okay, so that's maybe a little ambiguous, but it had been a long time since I had felt the need to have a structure like that in my life. And I realized how powerful it was when I first implemented it. This is when I was going through a physical transformation. I felt the need to write out my 5 daily musts instead of like drink my water, follow my macros, do my workout. I wrote out a very specific list that sounded nothing like that, but that achieved those same things. Anyway, I decided I decided I was being called to revisit that process and to think about what are the 5 things that at the end of every day that I want to be able to say, man, I did that. I held myself to that standard, and everything else is a fucking nice to have. Nothing else matters in terms of how I am measuring my own personal success than whether or not I have followed my 5 musts. So that's what I've been working on. They ended up being, this is so funny, they ended up being 5 different C words, which I thought was really interesting. I'm just scrolling through my notes now. I've got probably a couple pages of notes on them. They do need to be fleshed out more. I'll tell you, that's really, really helping me point my attention and train my perception every day. So the number one thing I'm working on every single day of my 5 C's is my consciousness, investing in my overall consciousness, because what you are aware of determines what is even possible. So I won't go into the mechanics of that here because this is not the spot for that, but it is really working on having a simultaneous deep desire and connection to what I am doing, along with a detachment from any results, external results. Right? So cultivating such a strong desire and such a strong love for what I'm doing, and yet needing no results in order to continue to show up in that way. And then the second thing is a container, like building my container. I talk about the idea of a container a lot with my clients. Being able to have the physical body to hold things, the physical body that can navigate challenges. So all my physical training kind of goes under this container shell. And it's not just go to Pilates. I use my time at Pilates to think about exactly what I'm doing physically and how I am literally expanding my body in that moment. And I think I am creating more potential for me to hold success right now. I am pushing myself to a new limit right now. And I really use that time to focus on that. And then also just how I set intentions with the food I eat or the things I'm drinking. I've been doing a lot of visualizing lately about these nutrients are going directly to my soul. I'm such a wackadoo. I do that because it makes me feel powerful. I'm not just eating for my body. I'm telling my soul, okay, please use whatever I'm taking in here to nourish what you need to accomplish these big dreams we have. And then my third C is creation. I've always said to myself, create more than you consume. So I'm really trying to come up with a good definition for that one. But it's what can I make each day that contributes to adding light to this world? What can I do that adds to this world versus taking from it? And this also, I think, ties into something I've been having difficulty knowing even how to tackle it. Maybe I need a coach for this or something. But in terms of creating some kind of structure to prepare the business for expansion, I start thinking, what if this could also be part of building a container also, but what if something did pop off and all of a sudden I had 100,000 new followers? Where are they going to go? What journey would I want them to take? So starting to spend some real time thinking about that. And then the fourth one is collecting evidence. That's part of my core training, right? Programming the brain is one part belief and mindset and perception, but it's also literally programming your RAS to start becoming aware of everything that is already there that you are currently filtering out because you haven't been focused on it. So interesting, because the minute I put that down as a thing, one of my clients reached out to me about partnering together to do a journal, like a collection evidence journal. This is a lot of the work I do with my one-on-one clients, like really getting specific about what exact evidence we're looking for. And she had so much fun creating her journal that we have a call scheduled later this week to kind of map out what that might look like. And of course, that opened up a whole new path of ideas for me. And then the final thing is, my final C is connection. What does connection actually look like to me? And I might be tying this to how I do my social media, or creating some kind of goal around that to make me feel like I'm meaningfully connecting with other people, making a genuine connection with somebody, focused on building the kind of community that I would want to be a part of. And again, I haven't even fully fleshed these out, but the minute I wrote it down, I went into work that day and a coworker stopped in my office right when I got there and just said, "How was your weekend? What'd you do? What's going on? Tell me about your life." And that never happens. And I was like, I'm having a connection right now. Again, it's part of the evidence collection too, right? And I've tuned my RAS to start thinking about connection. And I notice that, versus maybe it would have happened and I would have had a nice convo with her, but I never would have connected it to any kind of dot. Okay, so now I'm telling my brain, oh, let's find more evidence of how I'm connecting with people. And then my son reached out to me midweek about a Ninja Creamy. Like, should he get one or not? And I was like, oh, that's not something he would normally even talk to me about. So I just started finding all these little additional reasons or avenues for connection landing in my life. That's what I'm up to this week. That's what I thought I would share. I'm reworking my non-negotiables of how I want to conduct my life, of what makes a successful life, what makes a successful day. Each day is a new possibility. How do I want to mark that time in this very short life of mine? Even just sitting here talking about it and going through them again, I can feel my insides getting all warm and lit up. So I think this is very, very good thing for me to be doing. I also am really trying to detach myself from results, from needing Substack to do something, from needing Instagram. It doesn't feel like I need it, but this is really helping to take my attention off of all the numbers, which I cannot control. When I was trying to lose weight, I used to think I cannot make the scale say a number. It's not like I can go in there and mechanically make the scale go down. I can only control how I show up every day. And one day the scale will reflect all of this. It will become undeniable to even the fucking scale. And so I am in that same moment now where I don't need to worry about all these numbers. I certainly don't need to focus on them because I can't do anything about them. It's so natural for us to try to use those numbers to tell us what we should be doing. It's like I don't have control over that. All what I have control over is how I'm going to define my personal success and put all my energy and focus and direction and attention toward that. That's where I'm at this week. It sounds very healthy if I do say so myself. I feel like I'm in a very healthy spot right now. Okay, sending all of you love, energy, and my full respect for living the exact life that you came here to live. Go bet on yourself.